the Zed bi-weekly review for 10/25/21, or October 25th, 21. Um, Today we have Zed Insights, MJ Stables, and myself, Golden Globe Masters. We are ZNN. And so I'll let you guys start it off, and I'm going to go ahead and just start tweeting everything out.
Think we'll kick things off tonight with the field, talking about some super horses.
Let's do it.
All
Oh,
right, let me go ahead and just set up my screen share. Um, there we go.
MJ Stables join.
All right. So I believe it's a bit of a change because I think last
That's
time we
good.
looked
Yeah.
at it, third head I don't believe was up there.
Yeah. I don't, although that's an awful lot of profit for a new horse. So I don't know how it's like snuck on that list. It must have been around, right?
Yeah, it had to have been. It had to have been.
I wonder which of our criteria it's sneaked in with, but I definitely don't remember it being at the top.
And I'll see. I'll pull up last week's and I'll see if it was in there and where it was sitting.
So maybe, man, honestly, 59 races only. So yeah, that is an absolute beast of a horse.
whew.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe it hadn't been raced or it hadn't met. Do we have a minimum race threshold? We must do.
I thought it was 20.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So look, maybe it hadn't raced enough races just yet.
Yes,
That's the Z1 dream, man.
Right?
yes.
Yeah, just it seemed to come out of nowhere. I'm not seeing it on last 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago's list at all. Fairy Dancer was our previous top at 195, just under ROI, and I'm not seeing Fairy Dancer. I mean, we can scroll down, but did the fairy fall off? The fairy's no longer dancing. Where's the fairy?
Yeah.
The
What happened
fairy's
there?
gone. Wavelength still up there, holding number two. Avison, Young Diamond, Shadow for Hours, still down there. But yeah, Fairy Dancer gone.
So I wonder why 25% win rate. Maybe yeah, because I mean it still seems if you bring up the Know Your Horses page, um, still seems plenty profitable.
Yes.
Let's check.
Oh, is this criteria? It's not done over. It's the entire population of the horse, right? Just including the last 2 weeks. We're not just going
Correct.
by the last.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Fairy Dancer should probably be there.
Let me see if I can switch the tab.
At a glance, it still seems very super horse-ish to me. I'll definitely take it. If you're the owner of Fairy Dancer and looking to move on, let me know, please.
Here, yeah, I've got it up here. I'll do a drill down.
There we go.
And what that was approximately the 11th would have been
Uh,
the last. Why is this not working? Doesn't this usually pop up with
yeah. Do you have to double click or something? Oh, there you go.
I'll just type it. That works easy enough. 0.3 winnings, 29% win rate, 136 ROI. It could be
Yeah.
that the win percent isn't as high. I mean, let's take a
Maybe
look.
is it the entrance fee? Remember how we have the average
Oh, we
entrance?
do.
And you know
Yeah,
what? I think
and
that's
all
yeah.
these freeze.
Yes. That's
All of
probably
these
why.
freeze. There we go.
Right. So to be fair, like I don't know that we never thought about this when we made up the criteria because these free races with no reward basically didn't exist.
Mm.
And so I think there's a lot of horses. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to have dropped off this because it's just too irresistible to tank in these things. You know, you can just sort of hold balance between two classes so easily. Although I
Yeah.
suppose this thing is still in class one. I don't know why it would be tanking. So this is probably the other example of it's just trying to smash out tournament wins. So yeah, when we revise this criteria, we might have to come up with an exception for these couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Depending upon what happens with these free races, or we just exclude free races from our calculation.
I think maybe we should.
Yeah,
I
makes
think
sense,
maybe
right?
we
Because
should.
again, I think this thing is, by anyone's approximation, a super horse. So,
Yes.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Like it's no less of a horse because of it.
Right, yeah.
Moving on to kind of our top 10 earners,
Let's join.
we've got Proud Delight, Enterprise Moss, That's Despicable, Ray Del Mundo, Bloons, Sluzz Bucket, The Crimson Queen, Alice Properus. I'm not going to pronounce that. Oh wow, that's not good. I just can't say it. Purple
Alice
Drip
Propis,
and Him
voila.
Sanity. I love that name.
Yeah, that's really cool, dude. This is a sweet list as well. I think again, it's actually a really like cool feature of the tournament that is giving room for a lot of horses that wouldn't usually be making the list to be the top earners. So again, I just think all of the real top horses are making it in the tournament. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, which
Look
is
how
awesome.
many races Bloons had to get into the list, and how many, like, if you contrast that with the Proud Delights.
Yeah, that's wild, right? Like that's a serious grind. I don't. That is doing a lot of efficiency. You know.
Yes.
Seriously, like a ton.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just to maintain that like quality is absolutely insane.
I wonder whose stable
And
that
I
is.
think Bloons is up for sale, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
wasn't it right around 1.5?
Yes, I think it's around 1.5 each.
If you're willing to race 109 times in 2 weeks, you could be the proud owner of this
No, the horse.
12% winner.
I think it's sold.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
I'm looking. Give me a moment. Get over to OpenSea. But it was for sale for
I mean,
1.5 each, if I'm not mistaken.
it's still like a great horse, man. To get anything that, as soon as you start looking at horses that are pulling in, anything above half an ETH profit, right? Especially, yeah, on 88% ROI. That's a crazy horse.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's just an offer. Somebody bought it for 0.13 a month ago. Whew.
Hmm.
Wow. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I guess we'll probably see this a bit more when we move into the market, but definitely an interesting time for the market. I know we'd sort of seen in the last couple of weeks that we'd seen this resurgence of people buying up raced horses, but I do think that's probably come to a halt. Still, I mean, that seems like a good price for a horse like that, especially if you're going to be able to, do half an ETH in profit in such a limited time. Although I guess it does depend on when this thing was bred.
Although the grind of 109 races is absolutely insane.
But if you're
Yeah.
winning like that, it's not too bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least
Who
it's
else is
fun
on
training
this?
along the way.
I'm,
So,
I run into like Sluzz Bucket a ton, man. I fucking hate that thing.
a lot of changes from 2 weeks ago in this list as well. We've got
Yes.
Yeah.
Ray Del Mundo still the same, Enterprise Moss still the same, but LBJ Goat is off, Fairy Dancer's off, Sub Zero is off, Wavelength, rest in peace.
But again, I think all these horses are probably in the tournament, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah, all the big names like the LBJ Goats and the Princess of Powers, no, they're all in the tournament. So they ran up into Class 1.
And that's going to be great because it's even after the tournament, it's going to take them a while to tank back down. So I'm hoping maybe they'll stick around in Class 1 for a bit, give us a bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
But Radel is another interesting one here. So I think that changed hands. I think that's now with Catch Me Riding Derby. And that was the horse that was a Bechtel horse for quite some time, and probably the best non-Class 1 1,200 meter horse. So yeah, that'll probably come up in our. Although I'm not sure if it was an off-market, like an off-OpenSea sale. But yeah, Catch Me Riding's been around for like a long time, and he
Catch Me
knows how to
Riding.
like.
He's the original owner of Main Event, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh really?
He used to. I think he still owns Main Event. He used to just take my money all the time.
Yeah, so I mean that's a serious horse to add to that stable.
Yes.
the top 3 earners 2 weeks ago pulling in 0.9, 0.6, 0.5.
Wow.
And hit 0.4 until the 4th position. And I think that's just a sign of all the free races. The displacement of free versus paid really coming into effect here, and really seeing that cut in half overall. That's insane.
Yeah, it's definitely something I found. Like it's pretty impressive to see Bloons do this because I just find it so hard to get volume right now, especially at those especially in sort of my waking hours. Most of the volume seems to be in the US, right? So it's like if I'm looking to get in high dollar races, I mean they can take all day to fill. So yeah, it might be studying this balloons character after
But
this
if you,
and seeing exactly how he's doing it.
yeah, if you look at once again, it's still point two is the profit, and so this is we're not used to seeing the profit this low. So
Yeah, but again,
that's
I think that's just a like a function of the fact that there just aren't that many high dollar races, right? So you just can't get to. There's just not the prize pools.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So and that's something we should probably try and add to this sheet over time is like some kind of metric just to measure like the total number of races we've run in the last 2 weeks. You know.
Yeah.
I think it went up by a lot just because it unless you
Well,
filter it for free race,
excluding free races. Yeah.
yes, then it probably went down. I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
free
would
race
imagine.
dynamic again coming through.
Yeah.
Again, although it could just be the way the platform's going. There is a chance, I suppose, that they just start. There is always a weekly tournament, and we have these two different sort of game modes that are running simultaneously, and I do like that.
Um, uh, from the temperature or the post that I'm getting from more smaller stables, um, they don't really like it. They miss the free races. I have been talking to some people where they were just saying that I was able to breed based off of winning in free races, and now I can't breed or whatever. So that like messing with my profit margin, and this was only meant for like the best of the best of the best. And I was like, well, we don't know what kind of tournaments they're going to be running in the future. Some people are hoping they drop an ELO system as soon as the tournament's over, and everybody's course is where they're at is how it's going to set them up for the ELO system. So, we don't know.
The Pezza76 brings up an interesting point in chat. Do you guys think anything running at a profit right now, even at 250 races, means it's a good horse? And my response to that was, I think it's better than it was a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And I think that if we continue down this way, there needs to be like a clear divide between this free system and the paid system. One, to just like account for more paid races, but two, to like allow for, because in my opinion, there is a divide in Zed, and this tournament made it bigger.
Yes.
Between your bigger horses and your not as big horses. And I think this really kind of blew up the whole class system as a result. So I think they need to do something to better accommodate for that divide.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, it definitely seems just so much more competitive right now. Although I don't know that you would see that necessarily in the $2.50s. And my only sort of reasoning behind that is that I don't know that there's too many horses that are only profitable in $2.50 races that are going to be competitive in this tournament, and that's probably become pretty clear to those owners right about now. So so I imagine like you've only got two choices. I mean, you can keep racing free races pointlessly and classing up and sort of murdering your horse, or you can go back to running $2.50 races, right? But maybe the larger point there is just that the fields in general seem more competitive right now, or are definitely more competitive right now. So, yeah, there's definitely like a less of an influx of new players. There's less breeding, and the horses that are still getting raced are the profitable ones. And so we're boiling down to the real monsters right now.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
All right, should we switch over to the market? Look at what's going on lately in Crypto Slam.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
MJ Stables join.
This is going to be a depressing sight, man.
Yeah, so I mean, there's this May 8th huge peak, and
Yep.
then kind of went back down. Then we hit back up August 23rd. Oh, that's an interesting date, at least right around there. And then going basically down since then. We had a little bit of hope not too long after our last show on the 14th. Our show, I believe, was on the 11th. So probably about here. And we're about the same spot-ish.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on this in the stream yesterday, MJ, and it does seem that like the good news on the horizon is that it seems that if Zed knows that they've got a bunch of these different marketing buttons that they can push, it's just that they really seem to be indicating to everyone that they want to get a lot of changes into the platform now whilst they can, and it's maybe even beneficial to have like less active users you're going to piss less people off if you make a screw up or if you make a drastic change. It gives them maybe a little bit more leeway. They want to get a few things squared away before they do push those marketing buttons. At least that is the vibe that like a number of people seem to be bringing up, and it's definitely the vibe I got from the AMA. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's but it doesn't necessarily make it any easier right now whilst you see this thing constantly going down. And I do genuinely have like a few concerns about the platform that I think we're going to touch on in the topic section at the end of this. The plus side, though, I guess, and maybe as we look at the individual the flaws and stuff, the advantages right now, like if you are a believer in the platform, and you believe in all of the things that Zed is going to be implementing in future, I know it takes balls, but there is no better time to buy, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
If you look at the price of Z2 Nakamoto legendaries, it's whew.
Oh, I haven't even looked at the legendary market, even the Genesis market. Again, like I don't have a Zabo. Like I never thought I'd be able to afford one, right? And then now I'm like, all right, well, if this is time to put your money where your mouth is. Like I
I
always
got
kind of like prayed for a market opportunity like that, and it's here. If you believe in the platform, if you believe in the future growth of Zed, um, it's time to really dig deep.
that's kind of an interesting like point because I just snagged a Zabo legendary myself, and
Oh, nice.
I believe legendary. Yeah, I think it's legendary.
Yep.
But it's like, yeah, I've prayed for this moment too. But
Yeah.
then I didn't realize what the other side of that coin was. For me to be able to
Right.
afford this moment, the
Yeah.
market has to tank. Otherwise, it's just not. It's a dream and nothing more. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I gotta take the good with the bad. But yeah, we can look at the actual numbers of the floors right now. Um,
Stables
Yeah, I'm
join.
not.
and
I've never done any market trading, but everyone always says it's like catching knives is the hardest thing, right? These when the market's like collapsing and you're trying to time the bottom, if you miss that just by a little bit, it's painful. Yeah,
Oh, see, those are all Genesis ones as well. But yeah.
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so
so
Genesis 4. So interestingly, what like start with the Buterin. Yeah, so it looks like mares really haven't dipped that much. So who brought it up in chat? I saw someone saying that like perhaps surely we've hit the floor on Genesis, and this would indicate maybe because again it's been 2 weeks and it hasn't dipped any further, right? So
Yeah.
maybe we really are like bottoming out on the Buddha and mares raced at least, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I don't. I think this is where that
oh
trend stops. So
yeah,
yeah, moving on, I
unraised.
guess. Yeah, so unraised is a dipping also, although not like I guess yeah. So I guess sorry, I got that wrong. Like mares did still drop with
Yes.
race, but it's the males, the colts and the stallions that
The
didn't really
hell
drop over the last two
yeah.
weeks. Yeah, and then whilst we still are seeing a dip with unrace, but not quite as drastic, I suppose.
Yeah,
It's strange that people are placing more value in the males once again over the females. I think people want to hold the genetic technically exclusives in the elite level.
I mean, I don't. I think it's far more to do with the fact that you just can't breed for profit anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
breeding is basically at the floor, right? And then a lot of people, myself included, pretty much built their entire stables around females because I was like, well, I can always just pay for the males. And then all of a sudden, when things are getting a little harder on the profit fronts, you're like, well, it sure would be nice to have some males so I could halve my breeding costs right now. So I know I've been going out and buying up some males as well, but yeah, so I think it's probably more to do with that, but yeah, it could be the keeping it an exclusive thing as well.
Somebody asked, what was the USD equivalent on October 11th?
Oh man, that
I
stuff's
got
hard.
you.
I just keep it in ETH.
I got it.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
$3,419.73, and it closed at $3,545.35. So
yeah, but what's that versus now?
now I believe it's about it was over 4,000 last time I checked. ETH to USD. Give me 1 second. My mouse is acting up.
Yeah, we see
$4,223.14. So the price of ETH did go up during this time frame. by a significant amount, probably around what $700, and so that would that's still a huge drop. If you look at the unraced females from 0.35 to 0.29, I don't think the that's the equivalent in USD, even though that is um, a correct way to analyze. Because I think a lot of people, when they go in to buy a horse, they do look at the US dollar amount versus the ETH amount. I know
Yeah, I
I
don't
do.
know. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sure. You can look at it either way. I just find it easier to keep everything in ETH, or else it's like, the opportunity cost there is just holding your money in ETH, right? But yeah, it makes sense. Should we keep on moving down this list? So
Yeah.
Finnies, I
Look
mean,
at the
Finnies to
drop
me
off
are
in
like the biggest
fees.
opportunities. Like that this is where like
That's
things just
insane.
absolutely collapsed. Yeah, it's a massive dip in the last 2 weeks, and this is definitely where I've been trying to like move some of my money into Finnies, really. Um, yeah. And I personally think that they're just such a sweet spot. Like it's still kind of affordable to breed them every month, right? Whereas if you've got Nax and Zabo, especially on the stallion front, right? It's like that gets tough.
Yeah. Yeah, look at the Zabo males drop 256, 229, 155.
Yes, that's a massive drop actually on both sides, the male and the females.
Although Zabo unraced males
Unraced
went
went up.
up.
Yes.
I think that's the only one that's gone up so far, at least so far yet on the
Yeah, for
list.
sure, man. It's making me think like maybe I did an error when I entered this. I didn't notice that.
No.
Yeah, that is strange. But like I said before, like I do think that these flaws are going to start cementing in. Like again, I don't have a Genesis Zabo, and for the first time, I'm thinking like, look, this is my moment. If I'm going to do it, it's now or never, right? So
Yes.
And yeah, also, huge drop here on Nakamoto females 20, 19 down to 11, 17, 20, 14.
massive, right? Because do you remember 2 weeks ago we were saying like, look, we were hoping that this trend we were starting to trend upwards, right? Like whilst
Yeah.
the bottom end of the market had created, the top end of the market was sort of still growing slightly, even, and that trend has like well and truly left us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
so
just,
it seems that even at the top end, and I guess this would just indicate that like even those like longer term investors or people who just are buying from pure investment, not necessarily at a play standpoint, even those guys are fewer and far between, right?
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
And I believe we addressed that a while ago when we were saying they really need to do a class expansion, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Oh, insight. We'll get
Oh,
into that in a little bit, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, this is just crazy to me. I mean, how to think that you could get an unraced Z1 knock male for
Oh, I'm
15
back.
ETH?
Yes.
It like that's just crazy.
It's like we were saying though, if you believe in the platform, it is the perfect time to actually buy Genesis horses. Even like if you look at the Z2 legendary market, um, they're going for like 0.35 or 0.325. They're listed as 0.59, but they're not selling for that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just remember, like
What is this? Sorry, what's the number?
the Z2 legendary markets,
Right, right.
they're selling for like 0.325 to
Hmm.
0.35. This is colts, not females. Females are selling for a higher price point. Um, but they're selling for very low, and they're being listed at 0.59. And I can remember what back in July the floor on Nakamoto legendaries was 1.5 or 1.25 ETH unraced, and
Wow.
so yeah,
Yes, I see Dan Chan saying that he thinks that the prices are going to tank hard after the tournament even. So I mean this is more scary news. So I mean who knows? I mean I think like everyone's sort of waiting for the announcement of some kind of change. It does seem that like I think that if Zed announced tomorrow that they've got Dez is going to be releasing in a couple of weeks time or that they've got the drop coming, right? Prices are going to rebound real quick. But so maybe you want to try and time it and sort of predict an entry around those kinds of those marketing events.
Yeah.
um that could be the way to go, but yeah, it's going to
I
be
thought the
tough.
It's
market
hard to
would
do.
have. I thought the community would have went up a little bit with the announcement of the zombie sponsorship because it seems like that they might be listening to the community or at least saying, because of all the things he's doing. So we'll see what happens in the future with the Zed team. I don't think they're. Hopefully they're not going out and looking for any more partnerships or sponsorships and just focusing on finishing the game and working on working with the community and stuff.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do with their partnerships team. Then they're just going to tell them to take a seat, guys. Take a rest. Stop bringing in the deals. Why don't you guys learn to program? No, I think
I think it's only like two people on the partnership team.
well, I don't know. I think those guys are crushing it. I think keep it up.
Yes.
It does drive home the sort of seeming lack of development. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, look, it's a big team now, right? So I do
Yes.
imagine that like end of this year, early next year, we're going to see like a massive influx of changes.
Yes. We should.
Absolutely. Let's check out some of these sales that have happened recently. So starting off with the Buterins, um, Royal Acquisition super rare for basically 4 ETH, 16% winner over 693 races plus 71 free.
Dude, that is again, it's a big sale. That's
Yeah,
a
it's a
Yes.
Z8 Genesis Buterin, and this is Z14, Z18, Z19, 12. Here's the next Genesis at 1.25.
I mean, in general, though, this is like a continuation of like a semi-decent trend, right? Again,
Mm-hmm.
we said 2 weeks ago that like, despite the fact that the sort of just breeder market or the buy for investment market was down, that we were seeing like this healthy trend of people still being willing to invest in like proven races, bred
Yeah.
Hmm.
races and Genesis races, I guess. And I mean, this is well and truly that's still. I have got to admit, I didn't glance at this before the stream, and those are really good numbers for a number of these horses, especially 3.95 ETH.
Yeah, yeah, basically 4, 3, and then basically right under 2. Like
Yeah,
not bad,
Yeah.
not bad
and
at all.
and when we saying again, it might have been done off market, but Ray Del Mundo I think should be on this list, which I think that's a veteran, right?
I'm not sure.
But anyway,
We'll switch over to Finney.
All right.
While we do that, or sorry, I ended up switching over to Knock. Kind of jumped the gun on us here. The
yeah,
tabs aren't labeled, but we'll stick here for now. I mean, big news there. Breathless Edge,
That was a
obviously
huge
skewing
sale.
things a little bit.
yeah, that's just absolutely crazy, right? That's
Yeah, it was a Dow that bought it as well.
really
Yes. It
wow.
wasn't a single person. It was like a group of people.
That is interesting. I had no idea. Yeah, that whole DAO trend is it's really cool and something I think we're going to see more and more of. I can totally see a world in which, especially with like the way fractional.art is working, where you can
Mhm.
actually sort of do this in a trustless manner.
Yes.
That a lot of the major stables in the future are probably going to be owned by DAOs if they can work out a way to be able to also race the horses and breed them.
Yes,
Very,
it
very
was
interesting.
a huge purchase, and if I remember when he started racing again and took a commanding lead, or not a lead, but got up to the top three in the tournament, the Z tournament, which was pretty huge. People were saying he was overrated, and it shows out. No, he was rated right where Poseidon said he was.
um, Again, looking at the drop off though. I mean, obviously 110's an outlier, but 27, 19, 18, 15.
I mean, I think that the what we saw like previously, right, was that the only ones who were fetching a premium above like almost the floor was the unraced, unbred, right? So those horses that literally just haven't been touched, you know, and and yeah, I think it's just the fact that we didn't. Oh, there is one of those sales, right? Or is that no? Maybe that's just an unraced with
Yeah,
that Z1 stallion there. Yeah, but yeah, so maybe it's just we haven't seen one of those, so that we don't get the in between. But it sort of makes sense to me, right? Like if you're unless you've just got a beast in Z1, then there's probably not too much in between them.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Let's see if I can switch
MJ
back
Staples.
over. Yeah, there's just the knock. market is really interesting to me. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
whole nother stratosphere.
yeah. I can't even fathom.
All right,
Nope,
hold
both.
on.
There you go.
Gonna switch these off. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna close that tab out. Even easier. We'll go to this one. See what this one says. All right, now we're going to Zabo.
Yeah, there
Going
we go.
just all over the board here. This I thought was interesting because the top one's unraced. We've got 3 unraced in the top 5.
And then you got a good horse there in Prosperity.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
Zabos are always an interesting space whenever we've done this because I think it's kind of like a similar sort of deal. It's either like if it's a racer, it's a beast, it's probably in class one. There aren't that many just like epic Zabos that I can even think of, right? And
Yeah.
so again, you sort of typically I think most Zabos are selling for their sort of breeding abilities. And yeah, and at that price, you're either paying for a premium for unraced, or yeah, you're sort of going for the floor. There's obviously some people here paying like within that middle there, because weren't we saying the floor for Zabos was even down to like 1.5 or something?
Wow. Yeah, it was. It was. It was. But this feels a lot tighter as far as like
Yeah, for sure.
prices go
Yeah,
Yeah.
compared to the other markets we've looked at.
this is the same as we saw like in our previous 2 or 3 episodes as well, though, right? Buterin seems to be where all of the like racer sales go down. Every now and then we get like 1 or 2 big Finny or Zabo sales, but it seems to be like, the
Yeah.
massive market fluctuations are happening at the 2 extreme ends, Nakamoto and at Buterin.
Well, you got to understand something too. This is another funny thing is, and to the rest of the Genesis horses drop, their Zabo Genesis horses are rarer than Nakamoto's. There's more Nakamoto's released than Zabos because they both have an equal amount of. They both have an equal number of what 2,000 between Z1, Z2, and 2,000 between Z3, Z4, and I think there's only 50 Nakamoto Z1s left, and I'm not sure the exact amount of Z2s that are left. So I think it's 100. Excuse me.
Hmm.
Okay. Don't got the number off the top of my head that have been
Interesting.
released, but there's even less Zabos that have been released.
Yeah, that's wild. I guess the only thing there is that obviously there's still probably plenty of like Z3s and Z4s that aren't Zabos, but they're bred, So yeah, you're not going
Yes,
to get that at Genesis. Yeah.
definitely.
All right, and then finally, gonna big Finny finale here.
Hmm.
I think that'll be it. Yeah, there
Uh,
we go. All right, and then for Finnies, I mean Ray Del Mundo #1 at 4 ETH.
Radar was a I always assume Radar was a Buterin, but that's the sale, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
But doesn't this make the sale
super
for
tight.
Royal Acquisition look like, is Royal Acquisition anywhere near as good of a horse as Radar Mundo? I know I'd rather have Radar.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull that up quick.
Because it just shows again, these markets when you're making a deal for these races, like finding the right buyer at the right time. This is something arbitrage always does like perfectly. I don't know how he does it. He always seems to get like the perfect like maximum dollar amount for his horses. But yeah, again, I mean, credit to the Royal Acquisition seller, and look, not knocking the buyer. It looks like a real solid horse. I'm sure you're going to get that money back. But
So yeah, Royal Acquisition, 16% win, 32% podium, 693 races.
yeah.
Ray, 413 races, 18% win, 35%
But what are the
podium.
profits there? Because that would be the big thing to me. Is it seems to me that after 700 races by Royal Acquisition with only zero point 0.5 ETH profit only, right? But it's probably not winning at those massive tiers. I would imagine that Radar Mundo has like way more profit. One, because again, it can just afford to jump into those. I mean, pretty much just max at anything that's 1,200 meters.
Ray has almost tripled the profit, 1.52 ETH
Yeah.
versus 0.59. Like,
So if you just look at it from like an ROI perspective there, I mean, Raydell looks like, I mean, yeah, clearly the better deal of the two.
steal.
Yeah,
Yeah, steal. Total
clever
steal.
still.
Especially considering, I mean, yeah, the original purchase was for more than that. So, but I understand why people would potentially want to get out at this point.
Yes,
Uh,
there are people liquidating as well.
that's true. That's very true.
A huge.
Um, let's talk tournament. The maiden.
Yes.
Are
Let's
there
do
any other
it.
tournaments that we have to talk about? I know we chatted a little bit beforehand. I don't want to miss anything, but that's one I have pulled up as the maiden. Obviously, the Zed tournament as well.
Yep. We should bring up the Z tournament standings.
All right, so I've got this one right here. So right now, currently in first, we have Beautiful Fire, run by none only than Dan Chan, who I believe is still in chat.
And who was talking big shit leading into the maiden.
125 points with 11 races. Let's just check this out. All first place.
Yeah,
She,
well done.
2400s.
It looks like a real nice horse.
Yeah.
I gotta pull
Oh,
up.
and then did well to like tank it so well prior to the tournament. You know, like
Yep.
look, gets the single, gets a
9,
few
11,
wins there,
12.
and yeah,
Smart play by Dan there, for sure.
yep. Give yourself a bit of headroom.
Um, and does it say what? Oh, it doesn't say here. I'd be curious just to see kind of the breed, blood, genotype of just the top three. We've got Hawaiian Diesel and then Robot Ears, Sting Racing, and Zerga Farms. So Beautiful Fire is a Z5 Zabo Legendary Colt. Hawaiian Diesel's a Z13 Zabo exclusive Colt. And Robot Ears is a Z10 Finney Legendary Colt.
It's cool to see a mix up in there, right? And again,
Yeah,
I
right?
mean, there's no way around with the maiden. There's obviously going to be a lot of fluctuation there. So, and I mean, we were talking Golden last night about, you know, typically you want, or I've found that the longer distance horses are the way to go for these tournaments
Mm-hmm.
because I find that just over the huge amount of races that you need to do, that they just have that little bit extra consistency. But
Right.
with something like the maiden, where it's not like you can just select the type of horse you're going to have, right? And so there's obviously with this one, I think it's going to be, you know, all up in the air.
Yeah, because it's still not enough information. Somebody could discover something about their horse later in and just go on a winning tear.
Yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
another interesting piece is just like the class management within here, because at some point, I mean, most of these horses I can't imagine would be able to take moving up in class that much.
Yeah, the class management's going to be really tricky in this one because yeah, previously in the other tournaments, like I was trying to downclass within between rounds, right? And actually, I've got to admit, I had no idea that you couldn't do that in this tournament. I only read the rules yesterday after breeding,
Oh
and so
no!
I think yeah, it's pretty rough. So I think it definitely favors those lower Z numbers just because they have at least a chance if you do breed a good racer of being able to run in those higher classes. Whereas you know if you bred you know Z16 Z17 or whatever, even if it's a great racer, like it's unlikely to be, you know, dominating in class one even in free races.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that does make it a little bit tougher.
Yeah, absolutely. And want to pull up. There's along with this is the captain's tournament,
Yes.
are you,
uh,
are you in
which
this,
I am
MJ?
a part of. I am, yeah.
Yeah, I am as well.
I've got a Cosmic String. I think is currently sitting around 250s spot in the tournament. And this should load. Here we go. Just to check that leaderboard. It's kind of cool. I think there are like 20 different creators' names behind the captain's tournament, which is pretty neat. And I like how he's doing it side by side,
Yep.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
awesome
shit.
actually.
So yeah, I partnered up
Arbitrage
with
agree.
Unrecruited Podcast
Oh, cool.
for this. So it's the four of us running. But yeah, Arbitrage, High Horse, myself, and Unrecruited. Let's go! I'm loving it. Great job, guys! If you're watching,
Oh,
keep
where am
killing
I?
it.
I'm way down this board.
Yeah,
This
I'm getting
isn't
ready to
good.
say where you at. And
Yeah, I'm like,
Insight.
oh god, this isn't looking
Zombie
good. You have to
Sean,
scroll all the way
Doofy.
down.
Oh,
There you go. 7.
yeah. Yeah,
I
Nice.
think
respectable
I
seven.
I think I have like one decent horse in this, and that came from Saga Bolton. So we'll see who's got the best horse. MJ, what's your best performing horse right now in terms of score?
That's going to be Heine at 24,
96.
Ivory Keys at 36,
Oh
and
man,
then
two
there's
like
me at
really solid
229.
starts there. That's awesome.
Yeah, very very happy. They're doing great. The guys are doing great. They're killing it.
A
For the
long
record,
tournament.
You can't win all the tournaments inside. I know you just won the Dons, but you can't win them all.
Look. There's a lot of play left. There's time for the
There is.
comeback. All right.
There
this
is.
this is going to completely
Ooh,
change. There's going to be so much movement.
Zed Gazette forgot the race.
Oh,
I believe
really?
so.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah,
Maybe he
Let's see
still
all
has
that.
some time. But wow, almost yeah. There are a lot of horses in this.
yeah.
All right, then want to talk about the Zed tournament and kind of what that looks like. Know Your Horses, I think, did a great job putting
Oh,
this
and
page
I
together.
just seen Dan Chen's commenting now because he's all. I think he's most of Arbitrage's horses. So
You want to see the arbitrage horses, Dan Chen? All right, we can do that. Boom.
no, they are the Dan Chen horses apparently.
Yeah, it's all Dan Chen horses. For the record,
Okay.
Fire Artist, you said was your favorite, Dan Chen? Just one sec while this
It's,
loads up.
well, we can load up the other one whilst this is loading.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lucky Jack said, "Dude, yes, Lucky Jack, you round 2 started today. If I'm correct with that one, MJ and Insight.
I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I think so. I
technically
think it's
last
every day.
night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to get your races in.
Absolutely. Yeah, so here's the arbitrage um, stable. And yes, beautiful fire artists love fire.
Well, you've got
If-
some.
Logo
Actually,
and
you're
fire.
not far
I
off
know.
there, MJ. Right? Like, so I mean, Dan Chen's obviously had that awesome start with Beautiful Fire, and
Yeah.
it's funny that Fire Artist is your favorite with that one. But like, you've got two horses with similar scores. I think I only have one horse that scored above 90.
Oof.
We'll see. It'll be a very, very interesting tournament for sure. So but yeah, let's switch gears back over to Know
Yep.
Your Horses. They've got this awesome page up. So yeah, through 30 races, the cut line is currently last updated 7 minutes ago, 51.43%.
It went up. It went up a percentage point since Saturday. It was at 50.
Nice. And no, I was on a podcast with Zed Guru, and we were thinking like 65. So it is lower than I thought, and I think I totally said over on the podcast. He and I were talking later. I said under, but I did not think it would be this far under 65. At least for any of these. So yeah, sprinters at 51, Jelly Fragment holding on, Billions, Alive After 5, Something Special, and Calculation are your top 5. And they're pulling 90%, 82, 80, 77,
wild.
77, 76.
Oof.
And mid run is at 46. Insane Him, 70%. Smasher, Third Head. The Invoker, I like that name. That's cool.
Third
Blackjack
head was
Silencer.
right at the top of that
That's
profit list,
right.
wasn't it?
That's right.
Which is pretty impressive that it's done this many tournament races, which you would assume was free races, and it sort of topped out our profit list. So
Good Boy's having a great week.
yeah, man.
Very good week for Remy.
And then Marathoner is currently at 50% flat, with the top being 86%, then 84 Grandeur, Ratchet at 84, Saber Trust at 83. I mean, like, those are some really, really high numbers still. I think that's the most competitive 70, 68, 90,
Saber
82,
Trust
80.
keeps running. He had the lead, and I don't think anybody was going to catch him because he was at like 93% something show plays.
Wow.
And then as you can see, he has 55 races now.
It is cool to see all of these, like a lot of these horses we haven't seen in a while, or they don't seem to be getting the reps on the Discord, right? Like I feel like these horses that are turning out the most profit, like LBJ Go and things like that, are the ones that get all the mention. And to some extent, it sort of like shifted the spotlight from like the Grandeurs and the Billions to those horses, but
Mm-hmm.
which made sense, right? These horses just weren't running as frequently because there wasn't the volume in Class One. But now it's cool to see these kinds of tournament like pivot back and shine a light on these like, yeah, I mean, these really are the super horses of the super horses, the Z1s. I mean, all that being said, like obviously I hope that in future tournaments, I hope that they have a structure that, you know, is more open to like horses of all different classes. But it is cool to get these like mega events for for the real top horses in Class 1 as well.
And rump steak just sold yesterday
Wow.
for I think 1.4. Let me see.
1.4.
Z14 Buterin
Oh, excuse me,
exclusive.
2.99.
Wow.
And she's a Z14 Beautiful exclusive, so that's kind of amazing too.
Yeah, it is good to see though that there's still like an appetite for these race horses, these racing horses.
Where's Mula Mula at in that cut line? If you don't mind scrolling down a little.
Yeah, no, not at all. Is it in the distance?
No, it's 2,400. She would be the marathoner, or he would be
Yeah.
the marathoner. Did he race him? I don't think.
Yeah, I'm
He
Maybe
might be
just
waiting.
not it's not in this list.
Yes, he
I mean,
might be
unless
waiting,
it
or they might be waiting. The two foals.
I'll keep going just to get through them all quick, but that's kind of a surprise.
It
Yeah,
is. What do you guys think about this dynamic, though? Again, like prior to this tournament, I just decided to sit out because I was like, look, this is going to be. I don't think I have the horses that are going to be good enough to win. Could probably maybe qualify with a few of them, but the cost there was going to be huge. Like I'd have to pretty much like sideline the horses for a few weeks, and then by the end of it, you're going to be all the way like massively into Class 1. And you're going to have to spend another week or something like that trying to tank all the way back down, especially if they get rid of this frequency of free races after the tournament.
they will.
Um,
Hopefully,
it, yeah, so if you, I mean, if you did make the decision to go for it, that horse that just bought that we were talking about before, what was that one
rump
that we just
steak.
bought for
Rump steak,
Rumsteak, right? I mean, I imagine Rumsteak right now is like probably has 100 plus class points, right?
Yeah.
And you've just spent 3 Ethereum on it. And so unless you do just, make it all back in this tournament, it might be hard to get that ROI from normal racing.
This is
There
true.
There
Okay.
you
Mulu
go.
Mulu's at 63 at 27 races right now with
Okay.
62.96 place rate.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just really is a tough tournament for anything other than those real low C numbers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing too, and maybe we'll talk about this a little
Same,
later,
but
but I agree with your like low Z, but also what are they going to do with the class system post tournament? Like what's the racing structure going to be like?
Yep.
yeah, this is like
And
the
how soon is
biggest
it
thing
going to
that,
be implemented?
yeah. To me, like super scary stuff.
So we'll switch gears now. Talk about some news within Zed itself. And so this is kind of the big thing that came up was the AMA,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. And I'm happy they took this and put this actually on the site.
So maybe we can like talk about like general sentiments first, and then we can tackle the sort of like things one by one. What do you reckon? Or go through the
Yeah,
topics one by one, and then talk about the general sentiment afterwards.
you can talk about general sentiment. Well, let's start with that.
Well, why don't you go first, Golden?
All right. So, I'm gonna take a stance where I say it seems like they're trying to stick with their overall design document. And what that means is when they came out with the design of the game, whoever designed the game, whether it was Rob, Chris, or the other Rob, or excuse me, the other Chris. I know 3 founders, there might be more, or Geoff, whoever came up with the original design document, they're trying to stick hard to exactly how they envision the game and not necessarily looking at what's going on the ground. It's like in my head, because I always take everything back to video game design. In my head, it's like when you're designing a game, it's almost what do they say in military terms? The plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy, and we're kind of seeing this over and over with Zed anyway, where whoever's thinking of doing something, whenever they drop something, like the NASCAR passes, it didn't survive first contact with the community. Um, fatigue didn't survive first contact with the community. They had to
Mm.
go with the stamina route. Even breeding. There's still a lot of complaints with that. Like they really need to revisit the prices. The general sentiment in the community is it's too freaking expensive to breed horses at this stage of the game with ETH being as high as it is, and so there's things that it seems like even the burn feature that I think I'm indifferent to, but you got a lot of people that want them to burn, but I always it'll get back into thinking if they somehow get the elo system or a class system figured out, you won't have to burn horses. But we don't. It's I don't know how to explain it, but reading through it, the AMA, it seems like it was a little bit out of reality of what's going on the ground.
Huh.
That was my general sentiment.
You know, it's funny because I sort of had like the complete opposite reaction. There are like a one or two like worrying things about this AMA to me,
Mm-hmm.
which primarily is the Elo system. But like everything else, I sort of thought that they kind of crushed it. I mean, I thought that they answered like a lot of the concerns about like why there doesn't seem to have been too much development. Like the things that they indicate all seem to be like really positive. The fact that they're sort of reassuring people that the DES token is still coming out, that they want to get the drops done sooner rather than later. Like I thought all these things were like awesome news. So I mean, the thing that I will agree with you for sure, Golden, is that it seems to me that they need some kind of like testnet version of Zed.Run that they can just like launch on publicly, like allow us to like play for free money, vet it, and like give them feedback first before just like destroying the live game.
Yes.
Um, I just
Zed
don't really
walk.
see why they don't do something like that. But but I mean that's not really to do with this AMA. That's sort of by the by, right? Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I thought that they answered like most stuff like really, really, really positively.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem with them answer. Like I was happy that they answered the question. I just didn't like the answers.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all. Like I'm happy that they did. Like I'm waiting for
I
the next
mean, well,
AMA.
I guess what I'm saying is I like the answers.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, it seemed like I sort of like the logic behind most of the stuff that they were talking about. Yeah. What about you, MJ?
I thought it was very diplomatically handled.
Hmm.
I think might be a good word to describe it. Um, I liked some of the things about the future direction and building out certain teams further to address certain aspects of the platform. I thought that was
Yeah.
great. Um, and I there were some answers that I guess not that I wasn't expecting them, but I was kind of surprised that they went a little further than just the "it's coming" phrase, which I thought was kind of nice. I mean, just looking at like talking
Yeah.
about the next drop. I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
give a direct answer, but they said more than just
Yeah.
"we will get rid of these horses eventually, soon,"
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even
and
care
not too
about the
much
next
more,
drop.
but something, you know.
Yeah. 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 Me for I'm the same with you because it's sort of to me um the like the development delays could all be have a logical explanation in that they've just gone through this massive amount of growth, like completely revamped the team. You're not going to hit the ground just like absolutely running, right? So I could always understand that stuff. What I could never understand was just like the complete lack of comms, like when these things would happen and just no communication. So just the
Yeah,
mere fact that we have this AMA that hopefully they keep up with, and that we have like the Twitter accounts with the statuses, and you know, like comms have been noticeably improved. It should have been like this for a while, I would say, but look, whatever, they're there now, right? So yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So let's
yep,
go through kind of more of a micro level. Let's break down some of these questions, some of these answers. So help the oversupply of horses. What are your thoughts on that? They said we know burning, sending to the glue factory. I like that they acknowledged that is a
yeah,
crowd favorite, something they will explore along with a multitude of other ideas. They feel that there's value in a lot of the horses that are out there, and I guess they hinted at addressing it later. But from if I'm remembering correctly, they seem to be kind of anti-burn
They
in a
are.
yeah.
way.
I
I
think
just
because really fast. Sorry, insight. I
No,
think
no.
because somewhere I think that I heard that after weather or whatever we might get steeplechase racing, and so that would change the dynamic. Like you could have a horse. There's attributes that they could turn on and turn off and stuff. So remember, I was telling you how like I was forming a base attributes, and that I can't actually define them. I know there's some of them are there like speed, acceleration, top speed, endurance during the race, and there's probably a strength attribute for dragging the chariots or the steeples, or I don't know what those things are called. I know what they look like though, but they might add that. That's something they could add. Visually, Rob's an amazing artist, and then that's just turning on an attribute.
I mean, that's cool and all, but then let's do that with the new horses, right? Like, why do we need? It's just this has been going on with the Axie team for forever as well. Like, every Axie is special. Meanwhile, like the SLP price just collapses for forever. I just don't really see the need. Let a donkey be a donkey. We need donkeys in this game to have good horses be good horses, and I don't see what the problem with a burn is there, especially when it's fun, right? Like, I loved Lucky Jack's idea, right, for the burn
We
race.
all
I
did.
even went to all the trouble of making that animation for it. And I think that like one thing that this game often misses with a lot of the changes that they bring in, fatigue, is that it's not fun, right? Like this is a game ultimately, and it seems like nothing cooler than like this super hardcore mode of a burn race. Just I think it would be fun. I don't think you would burn that many horses if they were worried about it. Something you could turn up or turn down. Just have one a month or one per week if you wanted to do more of them or whatever, right? Yeah, for me, I just don't really see the downside, and I think it's a little naive to sort of think that all horses will be special and have a place. Like, let's be real, there's going to be donkeys in this game.
So
Yeah,
I think
I have a pure one.
the way that they're addressing donkeys, at least they talk about it here, and kind of I scroll down to the part two of that answer, is not to give it a long term value, but to say, hey, we're going to have special events and tournaments for these kinds of horses, and that's going to give you a window of opportunity to have some success with your horse, which will add some utility for it. So maybe you spend most of your time in free races, but then there's a hey, I never won, never shown, never hit podium tournament coming up. Boom, go for it. Or like never won a paid race,
I
but only one
mean,
free. Like I think that's a good way of balancing utility with still keeping donkeys. But I'm for a burn. I think a burn could be cool. I love the idea of giving out names for burns, like putting that name
that's
back
cool.
in the pool.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean,
or taking ownership of the name like a skin.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
and then
I
being
like
able to
that.
sell that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I just don't see why you can't have both. I mean, no one's saying you have to burn your donkey. Great. Like, what specialty you hold it, right? It's just cool to have the option. And again, like, I think, but I
Yeah,
mean, you're right. Like, those are some cool suggestions, man.
Yeah.
Like the naming stuff. So, um,
I just
but yeah, like for sure, these game modes and stuff, that's awesome. Like, bring that in. But I don't see why we have to have one or the other.
yeah. I agree with you. They can both exist absolutely. They should not be mutually exclusive. Next kind of point they talked about was the drop,
Yeah.
and it
And
doesn't. Go ahead.
well, I mean, cool. I love drops. This sounds like super fun, right? And I was always imagining that these were like a long way off, that they were going to wait for them for the market rebound or for whatever else, right? But I mean, to me, this is awesome news.
to me though, right? If the market's at a certain price, this what I want to understand is what's the price of the drop horse is going to be?
Yeah,
Because
it is interesting.
to ZG's point, uh, you could you could buy a Corvette for, or maybe not a Corvette. You could buy like a brand new BMW or something, depending on how high ETH would be for the price of a Genesis Nakamoto, and like you can go get laid with that. You can't do nothing but sit in your house and you know you can sit in your
You
house.
don't think a Z1 gets you laid? You don't
Hell
think that's a
no,
flex?
no.
So
Maybe you're right.
I like that they don't necessarily say that they're going to do it through a drop.
Yeah, I don't even like. I'm personally
Mm.
at the point where I'm over drops that I don't even like. They could burn the rest of the Genesis horses, even though like the community would go crazy if they did that. But like I don't. We have a game so far, and when they reintroduce more Genesis horses, that's gonna really change the market again because that's introducing more blood to the stock of horses that are here. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting. I
Yeah, that's
think.
a good point. I don't think they will do a drop. You're right. That's probably the wrong term. I mean, just releasing the rest of the horses, right? Even if they
Yeah.
did them at an auction, I think that they would go for a similar price as the previous drop, just because the current floors for the race versions are actually lower than the previous drop. Is that correct or not? I
I
mean, it's got
think
to be
so.
close for like the Finnies especially, right? I think if I recall correctly, Finnies were about 1 Ethereum for a Z5, and raced. You can get a stallion raced for less than that. That's for sure right now. So
Way less than that. It's point 0.55, I think, was what we
I mean,
should.
I could be wrong. That's just off the top of my head. But well, I mean, my point is generally here that even if they did an auction or a drop or whatever they're going to do, I think that the prices will be similar to the last drop. But no matter what, I think that it gives people that feel like that they missed out that opportunity to like re-enter the game. I think it always has resulted in like a pop in the market afterwards and a lot of racing activity and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's just a marketing event
Yeah,
almost. That being said, it does sound like that they're wanting to, and this maybe ties in the next answers. It does seem like they're wanting to time this with other game implementations, like so the game isn't going to be as it is right now, and I think
like
that's the
weather.
right decision. Like
Like
get
weather.
that marketing at the right time.
Yeah.
Tinfoil hat. I see Zed Pass all over this.
Whew.
I have
Z
nothing to
Pass.
back that up. But like
Wow.
they say that um, they want to drum up momentum, so that's a very clear marketing momentum opportunity.
Yeah.
And then the other part that I just read was some special ones will go on sale slash auction beforehand through some cool initiatives. So to me, like tying that together would make sense in a
Mm.
way.
Yeah.
Whether it's
That,
like like it's not necessarily you get a horse if you have a Zed Pass, but maybe you get access to buy one, and if you don't have a Zed Pass, then you're excluded from that pool.
wow. This would
Um,
be yeah, like almost like the Z Pass is like a whitelist. You've had to
exactly,
you've had to pay for your
exactly,
whitelist access. What do you
exactly.
think the reaction to that would be if that was the case, like
I
from the
think people
community?
would be pissed. I think the Zed Pass price would shoot
Right.
up. Well,
Yeah.
they haven't said. They said here's this shiny,
Mm,
cool thing, and it looks awesome, and I
mm,
love the sound effect.
yeah.
But we have no idea what it does, and that price is extremely volatile. I mean, within a pretty small, you know, area. I
Yeah.
think it's like gone from like zero point 0.6 to I guess I mean somewhat up to zero point 0.9, but I feel like it's been pretty stabilized around like the low zero point 0.2 range.
Mm,
And we have no idea what we're going to get with it. No
yeah.
idea,
Yeah.
and it's still going back and forth.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
the price is now 0.214. That's the floor price. So
I can't remember what I bought mine at. I think it was sort of around about this anyway. Yeah, for me, I was just like, look, whatever this is, I want exposure to it. It's I don't want to miss out if it is something awesome like a drop mechanic. I always assumed that it was some kind of something to do with the skin. I don't know why.
I see that
that's what
too.
Um,
I thought.
yeah,
Like a season pass.
but yeah, look, if they come out with like a whole bunch of different creative ways to get these horses out there, like great. They've said before they're not a drop company, and they clearly haven't been able to work that out. And there's no real reason for them to be. Like, why build out all this drop infrastructure and then it's just going to be useless, right? So I genuinely wouldn't really mind if they just auctioned it off. I know people don't like auctions because it's just whoever's willing to pay the most. But let's be real: if demand outstrips supply, there is no fair way. Like whitelists aren't fair. You know, auctions
Right?
price people out. Like gas wars are gas wars. You
Well,
know,
we're on Matic, so we wouldn't have to worry about the gas war.
I mean, sure, but then it's like becomes a connection war, right? Like
Yeah.
last time, like who wins the connection lottery, you know? So
Well,
it's just there's no fair
there's
way.
no yeah,
So
there's no real way to actually drop the horses without there
people are always going to be unhappy. Yeah,
somebody's head being on fire. So
yeah,
it doesn't. That's why I said I'm indifferent. I don't even care about the rest of the drops. They're still like I don't know. A third of the horses haven't been raced that are Genesis horses, so maybe even more. I was just guessing a third. It's probably way more than that. There's horses that were lost that are Genesis horses because people lost their MetaMask keys. So it's a lot of there are people who've been on the community. Some of the old OGs, I guess, want to buy more Nakamotos or more Buterins are more Genesis horses, and the other people might be pushing for the drop. But I think the rest of the community is just at the point where we just want a complete game.
I mean, sure, but and I'm hoping. I think that what they're saying is like, let's get the complete game and then let's bring this out. But what I do
Yes,
always like about these things again is I do think that it brings in new players because
yes,
again, those players get to feel like they got in at at a level playing field. They didn't miss out on the Genesis, right? So
but
and especially this time.
is that because of marketing that takes place around the time of the drops, or is
No,
that
I just
because?
think that you're not paying these huge premiums. But I
Oh,
mean, especially now that
yeah,
like whatever method they do, I just don't think that the price is going to be significantly higher. Maybe for Buterins they will be, but I don't think they're going to be hugely higher than they were last time, right? So
yeah,
again, if you for whatever reason sat out, you feel like you missed out on the last drops, you know, I think it does give you this perfect entrance points where you don't feel too bad about it.
yeah. But that's an extreme lottery scratch. I'll say that this isn't financial advice to anybody watching, but getting a Genesis unraced, unbred horse from a drop or off of the open market and then racing it or breeding with it is an extreme lottery ticket. Like
Uh,
an
Welcome to Zed.Run.
extreme lottery ticket. That's like going all in roulette on double zeros. Bet on
Um,
red or black. They either are.
it is, and I guess are more people aware of that sentiment now, that thought, whereas
Mm-hmm.
before it was a mad rush. Yeah, I've got to get this. But do you think that kind of mindset around those horses has changed? I guess is a question I'd ask of both of you.
Hmm.
I mean, I think maybe it ties into um, what we'll maybe look at later on in this AMA in the Des token is like a big reason to potentially get exposure um, to to Genesis, right? And it does seem, no matter which way you look at it, like that if you've got a good Genesis, that's also still like the best way to get breeding.
Yeah.
They still hold their value like higher than the other stuff. And for me, it would entice me again, especially if I was able to get unraced at below current floor. Then obviously, right, there's like
Yeah.
arbitrage there. So it's like at that point, you're obviously going to at least participate in this drop. So yeah, I mean, I think for current players, like yes, it's exciting, but primarily, once again, for me, it's just that opportunity to really welcome new users to the platform.
Yes. I agree. I agree. Actually, now that you broke it down a little bit more, I do agree that it would help welcome people to the platform, and it does.
Okay,
It
thanks,
does.
Colin.
It's no. It
Okay,
does. It's just I remember I'm a little bitter because I never won any. I never got anything in any of the drops and stuff.
there you
And
go, man. Maybe this is your chance, Golden man. You can get hyped for it, huh? You can
nah,
clear a little bit of room, sell off some stuff, have
nah,
some dry powder ready to roll.
nah. Because then the pitchforks come out when I don't get it. So
Sell
I,
the
I
PS5.
yes, I see. I got a new PS5, so I can't get lucky twice. Lightning does not strike twice. Uh,
Um, so next question on the list is free races, and I almost kind of want to skip over it because I feel like that's all that's out right now is free races, and it's no longer necessarily fastest finger. You can get in, I feel, pretty easily now.
yes,
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys? Okay, let's keep it short. It's just that. What do you think happens after the tournament?
the
I got to keep this short. um,
the
Like with,
bots
with
come
free
back.
races, right?
If they don't throw out a, a lot of free races, or I don't know, I think the bots come back,
They
or
can't.
are the people with programmed keyboards.
So, but what are they going to do? Like, if they can't, we've only had these two worlds. We've had juiced free races, like that have a prize pool, and we've had free races, but they're useful because of this tournament. You take away the tournament, you can't just leave these free races,
No,
right? It's
no,
like it's free tanking, right? And
yes,
so what are you going to do? Like
you've got to
I
rebalance it.
yeah, they've got to do something, and surely they've thought about this. I think it would be this would be a disaster if they just took it away and they left free races. They didn't bring back paid free races. There's got to something has to work out, right?
I almost think that that a class change is gonna come. I'm like praying that a class change comes because
I think
too
it's too
many
early.
horses tanked.
I think the other way though, man. Like, dude, this is great. We got rid of Princess of Power. Arbitrage can't come back and dominate the ROI. He's stuck in class one, man. If
Princess,
they
Princess of Power could easily get right back in like three
even with paid
days.
races, yeah, that's
Yes.
probably true. Yeah, you're
It,
probably right. I mean, 3 days probably a stretch, but yeah, if the class system change, I just think it's early. If they bought it out, it'd be great, but it's
well, at least 10
pretty
classes.
optimistic.
That's all I said. 10 classes because we're still, and I know I keep saying that shit, but other people have said it as well. The whole reason is there was 5 classes when breeding was closed.
Hmm.
Breeding's been open for what, 6 months or yeah, 6 months.
Oh, I want nothing more than
Excuse me,
more
sorry,
classes. Yeah.
4 months.
Yeah, but so
Breeding's
what
been
do you
open
think,
for 4
MJ?
months.
What do you reckon they do though with free races? Like, what's the balance
I
here?
think rebalance,
And
throw it back to what it was, but increase the lower tier races like the $255. My biggest
Hmm.
fear, no matter what they do, is that come end of the tournament, we're gonna have within like a 48-hour period of they're just gonna drop a change on us, and then it's gonna just be like a mad freak out and or scramble.
Mm.
Like I hope the trend of improved communication continues, and that there's some sort of window of here's our, for lack of a better word, post tournament de-escalation plan
Mm.
of here's what this is going to look like
I love it.
of
do you want to
yeah.
apply for Zed just to be the community manager? Sheesh. 'Cause that was perfect. That was like a perfect diplomatic answer, like that they probably should say.
That's probably the biggest word I've used in about 10 years.
That was great, though.
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, well, I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, hopefully they've got some good answers because yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think hopefully my answer would be that they've had this period of time. It's going to be longer than 2 weeks actually by the time it does come back. So because hopefully they've had this period of time to work out, hey, what's the anti-botting strategy, and we're coming back with like a hard ban system, right, or whatever else. We're able to identify these guys. We've got trust in that system. We're turning off the free races that don't give rewards, and we're turning back on the juice free races with serious anti-botting measures. And I think that would be like a nice level of calibration.
I also though wouldn't mind if they kept a couple, like maybe one every like one when it fills up or ends, free race
Yeah,
that's completely free and labeled practice mode, so
yeah,
that people could go through a discovery with their
yeah. I
horses.
like that. You're right.
And
Yeah. And what
uh,
happened to that $1.80 race? Is that still
that
going?
was
Like,
there for like a day.
yeah, that was great.
That was
Bring
great.
that back.
Yeah,
Small classes, more dollar amounts. What do you guys like? That was so
Yeah,
weird.
right. Give me a
I
quarter
totally
race.
agree
I'd
with
take
that.
that. Give
Yeah,
me
I,
a class 7 quarter race.
yeah,
yes,
yeah. That'd be awesome.
I totally agree with the $1.25. I got in one of them. I didn't win it, but I got in one. I was like, what, $1? Let me try that one with this super donkey. And
Sweet.
but yeah,
Let's move on. We're gonna. Oh, sorry. Keep
All
going.
right, let's all right, so current crash. I mean, we kind of talked about that. Is there anything
yeah.
else we
Yeah.
want to add to this?
I mean, the only thing
Um
I would say about this is that's like relevant to the AMA portion of it is they sort of just completely ignored the fact that this was like at least in some way related to fatigue, where they literally stopped people from being able to race their damn horses.
yeah.
Right? It's just like, market goes up, market goes down. Let's just completely ignore the fact that it completely timed perfectly with our release of fatigue that created the market. So a
Mhm.
little bit tone deaf there. It would have been nice to see them just indicate that a little bit, but yeah.
But I liked this part of the answer right here. Uh, they want to go organic. They want to go strong. It doesn't answer the question, but it's a direction.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Um, burn function. We talked about that.
Mm.
Why do you not have races open all the time in each class for each distance? Mindful of that.
That's one of those answers I was talking about. Like, huh? If you read it, too much. What does it say? Too many options are giving people, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know if anybody's like,
I don't know. I wouldn't want to see there always be every distance at every class, right? Or else it's just like, yeah, why would you would never race anything other than your best distance. There would be no like opportunity cost. It just takes away an element of skill to me right now, which is currently like balancing that trade-off, you know? Do you
but
try like jump into a race that's filling now, even though it's not at your perfect distance because it's available, right? And it just adds that area of
Hmm.
market movement.
okay, but you just got finished saying that, like, really early in, that you don't know how that guy got 109 races in. And he probably sat down. I don't know. I'd have to look at the horse. He probably sat down I was with the pony. I was on the pony, not on the pony plug, but watching their stream. And
Yeah.
Doughboy was waiting around for like 3 hours for like an 1800. He would not race his horse outside of its distance.
But that's great. Like that's his prerogative, right?
That
So it's
sucks
like
though.
that's cool, right? Like that's his choice. That's what I mean
Yeah.
by there being that element of skill, right? Is are you willing to like race your horse like slightly outside of its best distance because you're confident that it's still better than that field within that specific distance, right? I mean, sure, you can just like wait around for the perfect race, but I mean, again, where's the skill in that? It's just and so I don't know. For me, a lot of these changes come down to it being like what requires the most amount of or what's going to reward the most skillful players and yeah, I don't see that just like always having every distance there's I don't think that that's too much fun.
It's just what most people who are racing will wait if after they discovered their horse's preferred distance and stuff. They will wait for that race. I think that's like a consensus amongst most people, and it's the waiting part that gets some people like myself. If I don't care. I'll wait and wait and wait and wait. But there's other people that would be like, ah, fuck it, I'm not waiting.
Yeah,
And
well, it's good that you need those two personality types, right? That's what makes
Yeah.
it that one race is going to be weaker than another. If
uh,
we all always have the best one, those races are going to get stacked real quick. And let's be real, like on the lower dollar amounts, like nowadays, you don't really have to wait that long, right? Especially if you're in like class 4 or class 5, because you can always go upper class.
well,
And I think that
I didn't get a paid 1400 race during that time period that with the pony plug when they were
mm,
streaming. I was waiting too. I didn't get one paid 1400-meter race, so I was just like, and I didn't race my horse. My horse is at 100% fatigue right now.
yeah, if you do only have the single horse, I guess that does get tough. I mean, the thing is like if you've got a stable, like yeah, you can have bad days or unlucky days or whatnot.
Yeah,
But that's just racing, right?
yeah. Now I have 6 horses. I'm only racing one.
That's what
Rest
I mean.
they can't race. They can't. That's all. Maybe if they still had those $1.25 races, I'd be able to race. But
Yeah,
Give me the cheap ones. I like the cheap ones.
yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing about the free racing, I forgot just to get back into that. They in class 2 and 3 and 1, the free races were at a high dollar amount, and so the races weren't populating as frequent. And so I would hope that they just cleanly made the free races one solid amount so that they could populate more of the free races where you get paid from. That's my little soap on the box, I guess. I don't know if you guys were entering free races, but
Oh yeah.
class 3 and class 2 they were higher dollar amounts or higher
Like
dollar prize pools.
Oh, interesting. I guess I didn't notice that.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, but they populated less frequently. I mean, I don't know. To be
way less.
honest, I wasn't doing it. So
Um, my favorite part of the answer is down here from Rob about talking
Hmm.
about powers of creating and scheduling your own private public races, which we have openly spoken about before. They're testing this internally, and personally, one of Rob's most anticipated features. I
Mhm.
think that'll be awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing for streaming, for tournaments, for everything, right?
Yes.
For mates, yeah.
This has apparently been fixed, the 2600 Class 4. At least, I don't know if it's as mainstream as the other distances now, but it's around, allegedly. When will gate selection be removed for more user-friendly entry into races? They are going to roll out auto gate selection.
Question for that is: so are they going to get rid of the whole gate preference idea that they want to implement if they have an auto gate selection?
I mean, I think there are better parameters anyway than gate preference, you know?
Agreed.
So, but I mean, whatever. I don't really care what the other variables that they bring into the game are. I just want more variables. Like
Hmm.
weather's the big one to me, right? Doesn't everyone want like
Yeah.
someone who runs on a wet track better? Like everyone wants that, right?
Give me snow.
Yeah,
That could
snow
be
would be
fun to
fun.
see. It's virtual.
Yeah,
Why not?
Armor
yeah, yeah.
up.
Um,
What?
I I think you make gate selection still a thing. But if you
But
want to,
yeah,
guarantee that you get in the race, you take the chance that you're not going to get your favorite gate,
Ooh.
get in automatically. But then, hey, if you want to be that meticulous, you want to be that patient, allow the user to enter in manually.
I mean, look, you could always they could just do it as a priority system, right? So you just set your gate preferences in order of priority, and then you go
There you
into it.
go.
I
Yeah.
mean, like if gate doesn't contribute right now, so it's true. Why are we clicking on gates? Like it's just an extra step. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Like do something with it.
Too many
Either make it
clicks.
count or yeah.
That was fire. That was a great, 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 great solution.
Fire.
Yes.
Um, the next one's pretty important, something that we know on everyone's mind. How will sandbagging be handled going forward?
Oh, and so does this go into the ELO thing?
Yes.
And so maybe we just pivot from here and go into our like into the sort of this treat this as the final topic.
Yeah, yeah. I'm down for that.
Sounds good.
So there is going to be a new ELO ranking system. We don't know if classes are going to be completely removed or not. Um, I find it interesting that they put classing up in quotes, but sandbagging is not. So to
Hmm.
me, that almost hints at classes are going away or will not be the way that we know them. Um, but I like that they acknowledge that it should be incentivized. Yes, it should be incentivized to class up. Otherwise, there's no reason to do so. So I
Mm.
guess like what do you guys think about Elo? We got a question in chat. What does Elo mean? Um,
So maybe I can touch
Either
on
of you
that
want to
first.
take a stab at that? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so Elo, I used to run an Elo system in Zed to try and like identify better horses. Elo is basically just a ranking system. It was originally designed to rank chess players, but it's an incredibly accurate ranking system. Sort of think of it like our current class system, like you win, you gain points, you lose points. However, this one is weighted. So if you win against a monster horse, you're going to gain like a ton of ranking points or Elo points, right? Whereas if you just like stomp on a field of donkeys, you're barely going to move at all. So essentially, like proportional to your current elo standing, that is right. So if you're like beating horses with lower elo rating, you can adjust the parameters, right? So yeah, you'd only move a tiny bit or not at all in some instances if you were so much higher of an elo. So essentially, what you're going to get here is very, very, very quickly, horses are going to be matched up against incredibly similar competition. Um, and I've tried to think about different ways that it would sort of have more play than that, because again, you can adjust it, but yeah, it'll be tricky. Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a great system though, as well.
Yeah. So, oh, and just I guess, yeah, and I think it can be like it's a tremendously,
It's
it's just a super super efficient system. And it's really really
yes.
impactful. I used to so when I ran an Elo system way back in the day, that's actually how I bought Saga Bolton. I just bought it directly off OpenSea, like fiddling with different Elo parameters, trying to find um, undervalued horses. So I've seen like the power of it as a ranking system, and my my primary concern here is again it kind of goes back to that skill versus just is this a game of luck or a game of skill thing, in
Hmm.
that my because these horses are very quickly going to settle into an area of you know perfectly matched competition. I think if they make the wrong implementation here, we can just end up with a where we're just flipping coins again. And
Yeah.
I do think it will. Whilst they say like downclassing will still be possible, I don't see how. or it's going to be incredibly difficult to do it in a profitable manner because again if you're losing in a free race or a $2.50 race as a max level horse like the horses that are typically tanking right now, well, you're just not going to lose any ranking points or elo points or very very few, right? So you're going to have to do, you know, 10 of those for every one win distance or however you want to balance it. And at that point it just essentially means to me that every horse that is not one of those horses that can just be profitable in class one, which let's be real is like the tiniest percentage of the population. Essentially, once you reach your natural class where you're just leveling off against pure competition, eventually that horse has to be retired because there is no downclassing to sort of breathe more life into it. So yeah, that's my concern.
Solid for Life made a good point. Really good point, and I'd be interested to hear your take on that. It said, how does the Elo handle a great 2600 horse versus a great 1000 horse when they run against each other at the other's preferred distance? They always lose. So beating a better horse in the wrong distance means nothing, right? So
So I guess this is you're right. I mean that would no. I imagine it's just going to be one elo system. So that would be the way
Hmm.
that you could try and tank, but you just have to do it at a similar dollar level. So like again, if you want to lose like a significant number of class points, like let's say you've got a $10 horse, it means that you essentially have to tank at $10 as well. And if you're just losing $10 to win $10, like you know what I mean? Again, at the
Yeah.
very least, we removed all that ROI from those top horses, and just like we saw with fatigue, as soon as you took away the ability for top horses to have those huge ROIs that sort of commanded the big purchase dollar amounts, what created the bottom end of the market as well.
yeah,
So yeah, but you are right. Solid for Life, like that is how you would lose a good amount of elo points. You have to sort of run in the worst distance, but against good horses at that distance. So, and the other way I guess you could do it is by like trying to snipe someone else's tanking race. So if you see someone that has a high elo, but maybe not, even then, if you've got a higher elo than them, like even you would still
Wouldn't
not
that balance
lose as
out?
many class points. Yeah. So
So like
it just,
distance doesn't matter to me in a way because like if
yeah,
you're great at 1,000, great at 26, but you're both let's say ranked number two and number five,
yeah,
like that difference whether you win or you lose isn't going to. I mean, you if
yeah,
you won, I think that would be helpful, but if you lost, I don't think that would
yeah.
do
At the
much for
very
you.
least, it increases the amount of just luck in the game, I think. And in the worst implementation, it just makes it a pure luck based game. Because again, I mean, these guys have the source code, right? Like you can create a perfectly accurate elo system if they want. And then we
Yeah.
really are just flipping coins.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
um,
I don't.
y-
That's why I said
it
it's
depends.
dangerous.
It depends on a lot of stuff, I guess, with the exact implementation. But I mean, let's just say like the version of fatigue that they brought out in the first instance doesn't exactly like give you a ton of confidence, and we don't have that test net we're talking about.
Yeah,
So I like it seems like all of us are when we were talking about the other stuff with the free races, we kept transitioning into like, look, we want class changes, we need class changes, but these people praying for elo and calling for like the end of sandbagging, I don't really think they know what they're wishing for. And what they're wishing for really is that every horse has to then be retired at a certain point. And yeah, so it's a tricky one.
see, I'm not one of the people that I am one of the people that wants an end of sandbagging, because it's almost like getting bullied, and you can't do nothing about it. Like you can't even hit back because you're just losing and losing and losing. And this was going back into like I'm not doing that now because I learned my lesson. I took my lumps and I just don't race. Uh, I'm really selective with my racing, and so what it was is this goes back to like June when breeding was still closed when they were like 10 horses dominating each class outside of class one because I don't think there was any one horse dominated class one. Um, and so what was happening is you were just running into the same horses at every single dollar amount. And that's why they cut it down to from three to one race. And so um, I don't have a solution. First and foremost, I don't have a solution to any of this because no matter what they do right now, you're gonna run into horses that shouldn't be where they're currently at, and
So let me counter that if you don't mind,
Okay.
because it's true. That's like the sentiment that I think a lot of people have mentioned, and it's
Mhm.
true. Prior to fatigue, at least the current implementation, I do think that that was an issue because there was no downside to just running your $2.50 racer like 100 times a day because you
Mhm.
go up and down, right? But now there is because there's opportunity cost with the fatigue, right? So you can't just do that. You have to try and get the maximum ROI. There is an incentive to take the higher dollar amounts. And what I
Mhm.
think people think sandbagging is that like these epic horses, like tank all the way down from 2 to 5 to just stomp all over new players in these lower level classes. But that's just not the case. That's not how you're going to get the maximum amount of money. The reality of it is you take a horse, your horse is no longer like profitable in class 2. You take it back down to class 4. No one's going to go to class 5 because there's just not enough. There's not frequency of the high dollar races, right? So you take it all the way back down so that you can re up on high stakes races. You're competing against other max level horses. It's not that you're going down to just stomp all over noobs. And in fact, in order to do this, think about this: you're juicing the pots of all the $2.50 races all the way down, right?
Mhm.
Because you're deliberately losing and basically like paying out to $2.50 races or to entrance level horses for the privilege of doing this downclassing. So in some ways, I almost think of it as like a semi symbiotic relationship, right?
Mhm.
I'm not saying it couldn't be tweaked, but I'm definitely saying that um, that an elo system is not the way to tweak it. You know?
Here's my 2 cents, and none of this is original. This is combining a bunch of different things I've heard from different people, and then
Yeah,
I'll end it with a little tinfoil originality, tinfoil
cool.
hat time. So I think you, whether it's kept or expanded, you keep the class system and elo together, and you cap the race dollar entry fee at the lower classes. So you have incentive
Yeah,
to move up. You're
yeah.
keeping like horses with like horses, and then you implement a promotion relegation system. So tinfoil hat time. Why is this tournament so long? It's 30 races. That's nothing. Like that doesn't need to be 2 weeks. I view this as a season. I think Elo will be played out in the term of seasons. They've hinted at this before. So take each season, 30 races, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, and then you are racing to be at the top at the end of the season so that you can move up to get those $10 races, to get maybe, if you hit class 1 you get des on top of your winnings, or there are des races
Mm.
available.
Mhm.
And I think that's like a intricate but clean way of doing it.
Yeah, I look, I do like that. Let me give you my pivot as to how I would change it. Right?
Yeah.
I think I think the current class system is less broken than people think. I think they think that tanking is way worse than it is. And again, I just think that the vast majority of horses that are tanking back down are not doing it at the lower to compete against the lower in the lower dollar entrance races, right? And what you see a huge amount of is very few people are going to all the trouble of tanking into class 5 because of what you mentioned. It's like there's only one $15 race, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the chances of that actually populating for you throughout the day is like pretty slim. And one of the bigger reasons that you end up downclassing is not just to be able to recompete again at those high dollar levels. It's just so that you have a higher frequency of them populating for you because you can compete in like if you're sitting in class 4, you can compete in like 4, 3, 2, potentially even 1, depending upon the strength of your horse, right?
Right.
Whereas if you're just sitting in 2, well then you're only stuck with the ones that are populating in class 2. I think you could almost solve this by literally just doing what you're saying, just screwing with the entrances for the classes, right? So again, very few people are going all the way to class 5. It's just not worth the opportunity cost. It takes so much longer to get down there, and when you're
Mhm.
there, very infrequently does that $15 race pop at the distance that you're at, and then also because so few people are racing it, it takes forever to fill. So just no one's really downclassing all the way into class 5 with like a serious horse.
And
So
the
I
thing
think
is,
you could just extrapolate this, like just make more classes, make there like 7 to 10 classes, like we've all sort of said that's it, and then just stagger it with the maximum dollar amount the whole way through. And that
yeah.
way, like, there's a huge opportunity cost to tanking down, right? You wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
want to do it. You're still giving people that freedom to sort of find the right balance with their horse of moving up and down as to where they think the current level of competition is and isn't, and like trying to balance that with getting the frequency of their sweet spot for racing in terms of entrance fee and distance. So I just think it adds a lot of skill. It's not like it's not a huge change to the game. And we all get our extra classes, which everyone wants,
And I agree
and
with that.
it's not too complicated.
I like it. I like it.
I agree with
Simplify it.
that.
I
Get
like
rid of
it.
Elo, stuff Elo.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Exactly how you said it is something like me and Dan Chan worked out something on Twitter a couple months ago about how they could stagger the buy-ins, for lack of a better term, the buy-ins and prize pools to keep some of the monsters out of like what would be like class 7 or class 8 or something like that. Um, that could, if your horse had a strong distance preference, uh, you can downclass it. With the stronger the distance preference, the weaker it is at other distances. So the way to keep these horses with these strong distance preferences out is to definitely not allow people to race for higher amounts in the lower classes.
Well, I think, and it sort of touches on something you were touching on there as well, MJ. And I think you could run the two in unison, right? Like what we're sort of saying here is you're not like stopping downclassing with like, you're not trying to like just eliminate it with a change. You're just using incentives.
Yes.
So you disincentivize going to a lower class because you're just not going to get the races you need at a high enough dollar entrance fee if you've got a,
Mhm.
good enough horse to maximize your profit. And then, but then also what you touched on, MJ, is a really good idea. Like, there's almost no way they shouldn't be juicing or getting sponsors or doing something to really incentivize those high level races, right? So you want to
Yeah.
disincentivize the lower classes and really incentivize the higher classes, right? And then you've really got to make that opportunity cost decision about sandbagging, you know. But at the same time, you're leaving it there so that if you do have a horse, it doesn't just reach its natural class and have to be just sent off to the glue factory and retire it, you know.
Yeah.
It's the English soccer system. It's promotion,
Mm.
it's relegation. It's once you make it to the Premier League, it's you get all the big sponsorship money. Just like Zed Retro said, I was calling out in my description. You
Yeah.
get
I
that
Yeah,
did.
TV time. You get those
I
sponsorships.
I did add something into the product portal. I don't know how good it is after I ran it by a bunch of people, but I said they could do like a seasonal thing, like every 15 or 30 days, where everybody to start it off after because they got all the data. Start everybody off two classes away from the top or two classes down. Say there are 10 classes, and you race up and to as high as you can go. And then when the class, like you're still racing for money in these different prize pools and whatnot. But as soon as the season's over, they hand out seasonal rewards. It could be Daz token, it could be prize pools, it could be Genesis horses if that's how they would want to drop the Genesis horses. It could be anything, NASCAR passes or the Australian Open passes or whatever they're going to come out with in the future.
let's try and open. It's tennis, isn't it? Anyway.
Um,
Oh yeah, Australian Open duh.
so
That's
any other points from Elo or just the general AMA? I know we're running long on time here.
Oh yeah, wow.
But any kind of closing remarks or thoughts?
Just that I'm scared of the Elo system, but again, hopefully they come up with the right implementation. But other than that, like, yeah, I don't know. Look, I think we're sort of in this Zed winter right now. It's definitely a little bit of a lull, but I do think that this AMA was pretty good. When's the next one? That's maybe the next thing. It would be cool to get
Yeah.
another one of these.
Yeah, quickly. And for like lower Z's or higher Z's.
Yes, I would like to see. I would like specifically to see the breeding cost match U.S. dollar, not Ethereum.
Hmm. That's a good point. They probably will have to do that eventually, right?
I mean, they changed it when Ethereum was like 2,000, so they put the minimums in, and it's doubled or it went up by like 50% at one point in time. Now it went up 100%.
Yeah. I mean, let's just hope. Let's all hope that Ethereum hits like $20,000 by the end of the year, and
Whew.
and then they'll have to do that.
Well, yeah, I'd make a lot of money if Ethereum hits
Exactly. That's what I'm
20,000.
saying. Aren't we all? We're all going to make it, man. This is the yeah.
Let's go.
Click the button on the upper right hand corner.
What
What do you
button?
mean? No, that's what Zed Retro told me to do. Oh, freaking!
Yeah,
Forget.
got it.
Gold live on stream, Gordon.
Yeah,
Um,
to $10 ETH. I know. You got me. That's why I laughed.
all right. So yeah, anything to change dollar to ETH.
Yeah, you
All
got me.
right. So any other closing? Otherwise, I think we're good to wrap it up for the night
Yes, I believe
or
we.
morning.
I think we're good, man. That was fun. A lot of topics we
All
hit on
right.
there. And yeah.
In closing, there were some people asking to do horse reviews. I'm gonna start streaming tomorrow for like beginner content. Probably tomorrow around 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'll try to get on like after Central Boost goes off the air. Um, that's all. I'll be streaming on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and then just checking the numbers, and then go from there. But
Sounds good.
Love it.
Um,
and it's Golden Glow Master all across the board. So not all in all games. Golden Glow Master all across the board for Zed content.
and yeah, and accountant I think was asking about just kind of who we are, where you can find us. So just one last quick plug.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm twitch.tv/MJ Stables, MJ_Stables,
Hold on, I got it.
MJinformatics.com.
We have quick commands.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Uh, Insight.
Yeah, Zed Insight, want to talk a little bit about your stuff?
There it goes.
Yeah, I mean, you can find my stuff on YouTube. Just Google Z Insights. Hopefully, I come up. I have no idea if I do. Yeah, Twitter is now in chat. Z_Insights. I have been a little bit slack with the scheduling of interviews recently. Just been very busy, but I'm sure I'll have some more coming out soon.
Yes.
And if you're looking to learn more about Zed, check out, shameless plug, my website, the resources page. It's a just constantly updating feed of YouTube, podcasts, blog posts. Definitely check that.
There it goes. It was info. I thought it was informatics.
Got it.
All
Okay.
right.
Awesome
And then
stuff.
you're streaming tomorrow, right?
Yes, tomorrow around 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'm almost completely unpacked.
Nice.
And so, tomorrow 9 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be streaming Zed content, doing beginner things. And Jim O'Shea, I'll get you in the morning if you're up. I know you're in Australia.
Awesome stuff, man. I can't wait to tune in.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Awesome job tonight. And we will see you back in 2 weeks.
Yep.